Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki. How are you guys doing? As always, leave me a comment down below. I am, if you can't tell, melting. It is really hot for the UK. It is at least 27 degrees upstairs in the house. Possibly more now, because I've been sat here trying to record this episode and getting warmer and warmer when it was actually originally pretty nice and cool down here. So it has already, just in the space of an hour, heated up downstairs as well. So it's at least 27 degrees. Now that's in Celsius because we are in the UK. So for our friends across the pond, I will try to remember to put Fahrenheit up here, which it probably still doesn't seem an awful lot to people in America, but bear in mind we don't have AC and we are used to a nice cool ambient 20-21 degrees Celsius. To be fair, we complain at 21 and 20 degrees Celsius. We would rather, I think, have 23 or 24. So 23 or 24 is that in Fahrenheit. I think that's probably what most Britons would like, and the problem with British weather is that it's either chucking it down 20-21 degrees Celsius or lower, or it's stonkingly hot and it's like 27 degrees. So we do not do the extremes very well. And like I said, we don't have AC because for the majority of the year it is really cold and rainy. So really selling the UK here, aren't I? It's okay, at least where we are in a city. I think the problem with being in a city, something to do with the car exhaust, means that you tamper with the sort of the micro environment, and we get a lot of rain in the city. So yeah, I'm a bit of a downer when it comes to the weather in the city, in the UK at least anyway. But it is glorious outside. We are looking forward to sitting in the garden and having another barbecue, but we're also a bit worried because our bunnies are also incredibly, unhappy with this temperature, and we're just having to, our only fan is currently trying to get some airflow into their room. They don't like it in their room because it's too noisy and scares them, so we're trying to like put it at the doorway and blast air in, but we don't know whether that's going to be working because the whole house is warm. We've got ice packs in there, we've got blankets currently in the fridge and freezer trying to cool down so we can give them some blankets that are nice and cool for them to lay on. Oh, just constant water, top-ups and ice cubes in water. It's a saga, but hopefully everything we can do to help them feel more comfortable. Sadly, not an awful lot then left for us to keep ourselves cool, except for sitting in the shade in the garden. So yes, British weather for you folks. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling about that. Wow, okay, my glasses are like fogging up from the heat. I've never seen that before. That's so weird. I have got some things to show you. One of them is incredibly helpful in this heat, and that is I finally finished this lovely cotton airy fairy t-shirt. Really, really lovely. So this design came from a free pattern that I found online. I will link that in the description, but the pattern was actually for 2 panels and I've edited it because I wanted to try and do something in the round. Because of the way that the sleeves are, where they sew together just at the shoulder and at the tip of the sleeve there, starting from the top wasn't really an option. So I started from the bottom and I did this in the round. So starting with just a bit of rib stitch. I think it's a little bit long, but it's fine. It's airy, it's loose. I did it in the round. Now where is my seam gone? There we go. So you can just about see my seam, but it's not the end of the world, it's not terrible. I really, really like this dark purple colour. I think it goes quite nicely with my skin tone. The lilac less so, but I think it really sets off the pattern there. So that's the pattern that we've got here. And I worked all the way up to the arms in the round. And then I split off to do the sleeves. I split onto 2 different cables so that I could do a bit of the sleeve at a time on both sleeves, both sides, and work up the sleeves together. And that's because I was running out of yarn. So this was 2 balls of the lilac, 2 balls of the sort of more plum colour, Each ball I think said that it was about 200 meters, so just managed to make it. Kind of a bit annoyed because actually it is long and I could have done it a bit shorter and had a bit more yarn left to play with, which is kind of why this is a lot more lilac than purple or plum. I originally intended it to be a bit more like this variation at the top, so that the darker colour that goes better with my skin tone was next to my skin, but can't help that. So yeah, I did the sleeves at the same time so I could work out how much yarn I had left at each point and not run out of one colour on one sleeve and have to frock it back. And by the time I got to the sleeves, like I said, I had to split them onto 2 cables. The sleeves are not, they're not the sleeves really, that's the front panel and the back panel up the sleeves were then made just going backwards and forwards straight. So yes, and then just sewn, like I said, sewn here on each side, sewn on each side of the sleeves, and that has meant that it's really nice and loose and open. It's a 80% cotton blend, so again also quite breathable. It's just too hot. So really glad I finished this, keeping me nice and cool. And finishing this really inspired me to go and finish some other projects. So I picked back up the red cardigan. Now I've got it next to me, but I just need to explain the saga of the red cardigan. Those of you who've been with me a while will probably remember that the red cardigan started out being drafted as a jumper, and I was drafting it in a cream Aran that I had lots of. So I didn't have to worry about how much yarn I had. I could just work it up, get the right dimensions, get the right yardage, and then go and buy the yarn in the colour I wanted, which was this nice red colour. I did the first draft, it was too big. So I did the second one, it was about right. So I jumped in with the third using red yarn. And I hated it. I looked at it and the pattern was plain and boring and untextured and just no. So I looked at it and I thought, I've spent so much time on this, but at the same time I'm not going to want to wear this when it's done. So this was when I first started to get comfortable with the idea of frocking things back. Now these 3 jumper attempts happened way before lockdown. So we're already talking about a 6-month timestamp on this project before I started to try and look for a different pattern. I found one, a really lovely textured cardigan, which if I remember I will link in the description down below. And it had this sort of adjusted rib stitch. I'll show you in a moment. This adjusted textured rib stitch that wasn't a rib stitch but kind of had drawn on the similar techniques that you use to make a rib stitch. And then it did have the classic rib stitch for the collar and for the cuffs of the sleeves. Made the first one, it was too big. Made the second one, it was too small. So that is now the 4th and 5th attempts at making something in this kind of design thread. Yeah. So I basically looked at the first attempt of this pattern, and I did that one to fit my chest size, which is kind of how you would typically choose a pattern to fit you. And it ended up being so long and baggy, and I didn't know why, because I thought I'd done it right. It was the right gauge, it was the right size. I worked that out a little while later. On the second one, I tried to make it a lot shorter so that it wasn't baggy, and I tried to bring it in a bit. But then it didn't fit around my body, and it was also too short. Plus the sleeves ended here when, you know, if I want to do it as an actual full-on cardigan, I need the sleeves to end more like here so that I can add the cuff to finish them. So that did not go down well. And then I found a relatively happy medium between the two, where it is the right size in length, it is the right size in the arms, but there was a problem with the design. Because the pattern just scaled for bigger sized, like chest size, it meant that my adjusted version didn't actually come around my body. So it's made in one big piece initially that you then add the collar and the cuffs to. So you work up the back and then you come back over the shoulders and you work down the front. The sleeves just fold over your arm and then seam here. And the body is meant to just seam down the side. And you've got these like two thin panels that are just meant to kind of sit over the front there. And at that point I was like, okay, but if my panel is coming down the front here and my back is over here, there's no width to your body, if that makes sense. It just didn't work. So when I sewed it, I sort of kind of tacked it together to get an idea. When I sewed it, the panels came over my shoulder and then went like this out to the side. So the cardigan wasn't actually wrapping around me. And I was a bit demoralised at that point. I put it to one side. I worked on a different jumper. I worked on this t-shirt. I worked on lots of baby cardigans because I felt like I needed to better understand the shape of people. So started small with baby cardigans because I could do that in a couple of days. Quite comfortable with that now. Would very much like to make a top-down adult jumper. But after finishing this, I thought, right, I'm gonna finish that cardigan now. And my solution was to make a couple of triangles. So here's the cardigan. Okay. And you can see that I've started working on this collar piece at the moment. I'll talk about that just in a bit. You can see the lovely texture that I was talking about. So it's kind of like you've got a little bit of garter stitch behind a stocking stitch. It's really nice. And then here, I've lost it. Like, I suppose it's better to show you on the other side where I haven't started on the cuff already. Here is the front panel that goes down the body, and here is one of the little triangles that I've added. I don't know how well we can see it on camera, so I'm just also trying not to lose my needles there. So there's two seams in there. There's one here and one here that goes all the way down to the bottom, where you can see I've added a couple of inches there, and just I've slowly decreased it up the body, and it comes to a peak just under the arm. So that's about 3 or 5 stitches at this point here, sewn into the arm, and that just pushes it a little bit further around my body, and the rest is hopefully going to be held in place by the position of the collar. So the other problem I had with the design is the collar is originally meant to be made by picking up stitches all the way to the middle of the back of the neck. But this meant that round the back of your neck, it wasn't lengthened to go round the circular part of it over the top of your shoulder, so it just pulled up at the bottom, if that makes sense. So like, if the collar wasn't being held in place, you can kind of see there that it pulls the whole piece of work up. Now you want to pull it up a little bit because, like I said, you want to be able to pull it around your body, but the amount that it was tugging wasn't okay. So what I've decided to do instead is to do the collar up to just the top of the shoulder, and then I'm going to go across the back with a third section that I'm going to increase in 2 places, so that it should hopefully work around the back of the neck, and then it should hopefully pull that panel and that side triangle that I added in a bit around my front without distorting it too much, without actually pulling it upwards. Like, you should pull it around but not up, if that made sense. I hope that made sense. But anyway, I'm going to show you what that's like being worn on. So I'm going to do a very quick change. I mean, I don't know why I said a quick change. I'm going to do a quick change. There we go. See, I don't know why I said a quick change. I'm clearly just totally too hot to think. But here it is. So the collar so far needs to have a little bit more work done on it because it'll fold around like that. You can see the gap there in the neck where the collar's going to go. You can see how it comes round, and there we go. It just seams under my arm a bit, so it pulls round my body that little bit extra. If you can imagine that there's like a couple of inches in there that weren't there before, that is where it was sitting, so it just wasn't working as a cardigan. And then that's so far how much of the collar is bringing it round my body. So yes, definitely needed those little extra edits in there because I am not super skinny, and and I needed that extra width around my stomach. So yes, super happy with how it's coming along. I cannot sit in this any longer. So let's take that off, because this is Aran yarn. This is like part wool here, and part wool is not what you want to wear on a day like this. So as you could see, it was not finished. I was inspired to finish it. I did not get it finished, and that is just because I had some cotton yarn left that I really wanted to start using up. So I took a little bit of a break to make this lovely little market bag. So yeah, I was inspired to do this because I saw a similar bag on the Crimson Stitchery, who I will link in the description, and then somebody on that chat thread linked me the pattern, which was a free pattern, so again I will link that in the description. And yeah, it's really lovely. It just starts off with a square in this net stitch, and then the square is scooped up into this part of the pattern here, and then you do sort of a bit of a circle at this point. So the purple is the second and third rows. I did actually go around once in white, but in fact you can see that on here. So you go around the whole thing once in white, where you collect together this side of the square, only very slightly. And then you add the straps, go around, you collect together that side of the square slightly, do the other strap. So the overall effect is that it kind of brings that into a bit more of a circle. That will then sink as the cotton stretches whenever there's something inside it. And this simply goes over one's arm. So yes, really, really lovely. The pattern has a beautiful picture of somebody carrying, you know, a French baguette, freshly baked, and onions and other vegetables in their market bag. It's so cute, and hopefully now that restrictions are beginning to ease, still be careful, it's not over yet, but now that restrictions are beginning to ease, we might be able to get down to the market and get some plastic-free fruit and vegetables, because that is such a big thing. Like, we live near to a supermarket which doesn't have many plastic-free options, so some of the plastic is recyclable if you're prepared to take it to a big supermarket to get it recycled. So we do collect it together and occasionally go a little bit further afield so we can put the plastic in the recycling. But yeah, our local supermarket just really doesn't offer many plastic-free options, and it would be great to get back down to the market when it's safe to do so and get some vegetables that, you know, don't have all this wrapping around it. Like, I don't understand. Like, bananas have a skin, why do they need plastic bag? But yeah, so that's the hope anyway, that I can then use that market bag. And as you can see, actually I did it with mostly this white yarn, but I did run out, so I used the spare lilac from my jumper. So it actually matches my, not my jumper, my t-shirt. It matches my purple t-shirt really well as well. So that will look super cute going down to the market in the summer. If you have any crafting photos, please send links to wherever you have hosted your photos on social media. And also remember that I have the Harry Potter crochet project vote going on a previous video. It has been a while, I know. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start thinking about the winner, and that means I need some votes, because I need you to tell me which one you want to see first. So we had Luna, we had Dumbledore, and we had McGonagall. I will link that video in the description. Go watch it, go look at what the patterns look like, and let me know which one you want me to do. I'm going to be wrapping up that vote soon, so make sure that you get your say. So yes, I am going to say goodbye, going to go and get the barbecue going and enjoy the rest of this sunny day, and make sure that we top up the bunnies' water as well. Not to mention, I am in desperate need of some water as well. So yeah, I hope that you are enjoying the sunshine where you are. I hope that you're staying safe, and I will see you in a future video. Bye!